Is facing Tennesseans today. From 10 News, this is Inside Tennessee.
Good morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John Becker. We focus this morning on the November election and the race to fill the 2nd District seat on the Knox County School Board. It is the only seat of the 9 up in the November election, but it may be critical to helping shape the direction of the board and the district. Here is a map of the 2nd District. It's in orange there. That may be a little tough to see on your screen. This will also help you identify who this affects the most. These are some of the schools covered by that district: Adult High School, Bell Morris Elementary School, Central High School, Christenberry Elementary, Fountain City Elementary, Fulton High, Gresham Middle, Inskip Elementary, Kelly Volunteer Academy, Richard Yoakley School, Shannondale Elementary, Sturkey Elementary, and Whittle Springs Middle School. This is the seat once held by India Kincannon. She left that post, you'll recall, because her family relocated overseas. County Commission chose John Fugit as a caretaker until the election. The person elected in November will serve the remaining 2 years of Kincannon's term, and we are pleased to have all 3 candidates with us. Let me introduce them now. To my left, Charlotte Dorsey. In the middle, Jamie Rowe and Tracie Sanger, all with us this morning. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Let me introduce our panelists, and then we'll get started on questions. On the end there, Dennis Francis, a Democrat and lawyer. Welcome.
Good morning.
Susan Richardson-Williams runs her own PR shop, and she is a Republican.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. Let's talk first about what got you into this race. And Ms. Dorsey, we'll start with you. That's all right. It's a microphone. We'll make sure it works and go from here. But what prompted you to run for this race? You've been involved in politics before.
When I saw that India Kincannon was taking a leave, and I thought, this is something that I can do, something I wanted to do. I had wanted to do it in 2010 and was not successful there. But I'm a 30-year veteran of Knox County schools. I gave my whole life to public education, and I have worked in almost all of the schools. I've worked in rural schools, I've worked in inner city schools, I've worked in suburban schools, and most all of the schools in this district, I have had some experience with them because I was a consultant with the Tennessee State Department of Education as an exemplary educator. And I just feel there's just a lot I still have left I can give, what I'd like to do. I loved working for Knox County. I really did. I was never uncomfortable to go to work. When I retired, I had 165 sick days. I just didn't take off because I like to be there. I love the children, I love the parents, I love working in the community. It was a very rewarding career, and I just think I would like to give back to my community for that gift that I was given.
Ms. Rowe?
Well, schools to me are the basis of a strong economy. And if we don't have strong schools, then we don't have strong neighborhoods. And I've worked many years to strengthen neighborhoods. School board's really a good fit for me because of my background and experience, and I can devote full time to school issues. I've been on Fountain City Town Hall Board for 15 years, and in that time we have worked to resolve many community issues. And besides that, I've been appointed to several boards: the Stormwater Advisory, the KUB Tree Trim Panel, and the Farmers Market. And I can tell you those are very diverse boards, and they represented many different opinions. Yet we work together in order to form solutions. And I think that experience sets me apart as a candidate because it gave me insight and how to work in a board that is so diverse. And I feel like that will be a valuable thing going forward to help me on the school board.
Tracie Sanger.
Well, thank you both. Thank you all for actually having us here and letting us speak and letting everyone get a chance to get to know us better. I really appreciate that. And, you know, I think I consider myself 3 things. I'm a parent of children in the Knox County school system, and I think that's really important to be able to bring a parental perspective to board issues. And, you know, if I'm not elected, actually I found out that if I'm not elected as of January, there'll be no board members whatsoever with children in the school system, and I think that sets me apart as well as a candidate. And as an educator, I've been teaching on and off in Knox County schools for 14 years. I've been also, you know, a supervisor of people doing their students doing their internships and practicum experiences. and also I'm an adjunct professor for Tusculum College. And I think so that way I can also bring an educator's perspective. You know, as a community, you know, I've been involved with the community. I'm a community volunteer, and I actually, you know, helped found the Shenandoah Foundation, and we raised several $1,000s to get teachers what they need to teach our kids and for our kids to succeed. And that also led me into basically help lead the way to the Shenandoah addition, and to get 50% of students out of portables, which, you know, and back into the main building. So, you know, I have a passion for education. My children are at school here. I have a son at Gresham. I have a child at Shenandoah, and I just have a passion for education. I've shown that throughout the community, and I'm ready to expand that to the district and to the county.
We're going to get to the panel's question in just a minute. Let me ask another sort of broad setup question, and we'll go back down the line. So, Tracie, this will be to you first. But what do you think is the biggest issue facing Knox County schools right now?
Right now, I mean, board-wise, I think there's way too much finger-pointing and bickering. And as a special education teacher, I think I would be very valuable on the board because I'm really good at listening to both sides. I'm not a this way or my, you know, this way or the highway type of person. I can actually work well with people, listen to both sides, and treat people civilly. I really think we need to start treating people in a civil manner as a whole community. I think that's the main thing. And then I think obviously we would probably all say, you know, we need to have more instruction time for our students. As a parent of children in the school system, I like to have my child have more instructional time.
Okay, we'll stop it there for a second. Ms. Rowe, you fire away.
All right, do you want to repeat the question for me?
What do you see as the most important issue facing Knox County schools?
I think the most important issue right now with the board especially is communication and trust, and I think that has to be restored in some way. And I think one of the ways that it can be restored, Dr. McIntyre could lead the fight or lead the way to say, you know, I'm going to implement some of the changes the teachers have asked for. I'm going to implement some of the things they want from the 2020 plan removed or added or whatever. And I think too, I've been down before that podium many, many times for different boards, and the two times that I remember the most are the two times that I felt like I was treated very disrespectfully. And to have words spoken to the teachers like crazy and you're not in reality, that's unacceptable. And I think those kind of things have to be changed, and we've got to show more respect for our teachers.
Charlotte Dorsey?
Well, I agree with both ladies, and communication is what I hear from as I talk to teachers and parents, is that there's a lot of top-down communication from central office, but the teachers and parents and community are not given an opportunity to respond and to set forth their issues. We just have to, in my opinion, reestablish trust. We have to reestablish a confidence in public education. Public education is just the heart of America. And when people feel that they can't trust their superintendent, their central office people, discrimination with the testing and the evaluation, I've done all of that. You know, I've been a principal in school, so I've had to implement the board's policies. I know what the policies are, and I think I'm very capable of writing them and understanding them and implementing them. But we have to restore confidence in public education and reestablish leadership on this board. How that's going to be done, I loved what I heard someone say recently. We need a peacemaker there, and I think Tracie addressed that. We need civility. You know, that's where I'm coming from.
Well, we appreciate the three of you setting the table. We'll be back with more questions from our panel right after this. Candidates who appear on the November ballot, although early voting does start in October, next couple of weeks, they are running for the District 2 seat on the Knox County School Board of Education. Susan?
Well, I think before we went on air, I said this has got to be one of those really high-pressure elections that are coming, because we have had a good deal of controversy on our school board. We're in the middle of a fight for the chairmanship, and you all may or may not get to vote on the next chairman. I said if I were on that school board, I'd say let's wait till one of you is elected and take some of the pressure off of me. Are you feeling, have you been lobbied, any of you? Are you feeling pressure from any of the current members of the school board or from teachers to vote a certain way if you're elected, or to support Dr. McIntyre or not to support Dr. McIntyre? I'd just be curious if you're hearing that from the community. Charlotte?
I have not, and I think when you look at the news media, I'm pretty much an invisible person. I did send a little note.
Not any longer.
I did send a note to the editor of the Focus that yes, there are 3 people in this race. But I've talked to a lot of teachers and people in my community and parents, and I really have not felt the pressure for that. What I hear people saying is, we really just want to know what's going on. We want things to be more transparent. I know in the past, people were running, said this is what's going to happen, but it hasn't. You know, I think Jamie addressed something with the teacher advisory committee. You know, my gracious, what lack of transparency in that.
Yeah. So no pressure.
So
but I want to get to Susan's point about Dr. McIntyre. We might as well do it with each of you. But the mayor on this program said he feels like the superintendent should go. Do you agree with that sentiment or disagree with that sentiment? And then we'll move on to Ms. Rowe, and she can answer both questions.
I'm not going to say I agree or disagree. Whatever the citizens of Knoxville want, then I'm there as a board member. I will do what they want me to do. That's what will be the job. How will I determine that? By listening. I'm a very good listener. I'm a consensus builder. That's what I did in schools. I helped schools establish their mission, their vision, set up their own strategic plans. I know how to do all that. So I think I will be like Jamie. I'm a very good listener, and I want to be the voice for our district. I say that in a lot of my work that's gone out to people.
Okay. Ms. Rowe, and Susan really asked a two-part question.
Are you being pressured by anyone, pro or con?
No, I've not been pressured. I think they're really more concerned and focused on the group that's there now about things rather than worrying about
But hey, one of you is going to have a vote on that board.
Right.
And then to her other question, do you feel like Superintendent McIntyre should stay or go?
Right now, I feel that Dr. McIntyre is quite ineffective when 70% of the teachers are saying they do not feel valued as professionals. He listens, but nothing seems to change. He had such a great opportunity with this teacher advisory board that he could have built such bridges with the teachers, but he didn't. And he stresses.
Are you on that?
No, I'm not.
You've attended. I assume. Have you gone?
No, I haven't really. No, I haven't attended. But he picked all the people that are on it. There's to be no media, no board people can attend, no tape recordings, no note taking. And that doesn't speak to transparency or trust or anything. And I just feel like a lot of bridges could have been built with that new advisory committee. And also, he stresses graduation rates. But only 21% of the students are meeting the ACT college and career readiness benchmarks in math, science, English, and reading. And that, to me, is more important than graduation rates, because if you send them out into the world unprepared, then we're really putting a handicap or a roadblock before them before they begin.
And before we get to Ms. Sanger, so yes, he should stay or no, he should go at the moment?
If I was voting today, I would say go.
Okay. Ms. Sanger, you have
Pressure-wise?
Pressure first.
I wouldn't say I felt any pressure whatsoever, but it's very clear talking to teachers and talking to parents out in the community and in the district. I mean, it's very polarized. There's hardly anything in exactly. It's hardly in the middle. I think for Dr. McIntyre, I think there's no question he's actually met every goal that the previous board has set before him. And so you have to give him credit for that. I think, although in doing that, I think he was quite aggressive on how he met those goals. And there's been quite a bit of criticism of communication listening going down, but also going back up the ladder. So it's not just going down, but it's getting back up to him. There's some sort of break there that we need to mend. And, you know, I think what I bring is I can hear both sides and do what I think is what's best for children. And that's what I plan on doing. I think if Dr. McIntyre is right, I'm going to support him. I think if he's wrong, I'm going to definitely let him know. I think anyone that's ever met me knows that I stand on my own 2 feet. And but at this time, I think that I would never fire anyone without actually having a meeting with someone.
Okay. Well, we're going to pause for another quick break, and we'll be back with Dennis Francis to lead us off in the 3rd block. What will his question be? You'll have to hang on and find out. Candidates for District 2 School Board in Knox County. Dennis?
Well, my first question would be, what is the payout? What is the buyout? Whatever we want to talk about. I mean, the buyout is almost as great as Charlie Weiss just got from the University of Kansas to get fired. Is it true we're going to pay $1 million for the superintendent if you terminate his contract? 3 years left. What does he make? $250 a year?
Yeah, so it's almost $750,000.
Okay. Is that a wise use of the taxpayers' money? And why don't you guys take that wherever you want to take it?
No, I don't think it's fiscally responsible to fork out, you know, $750,000 of taxpayer money. I think, to my knowledge, I think that the voting to extend his contract might go, if I'm right, go next year, November 2015, when they do his performance review again. I think it's fiscally irresponsible, and let us have some time to actually determine if he's made progress on the criticism that he's had, and determine whether or not we want to renew a contract or
that's the way you would move forward. Ms. Rowe, how about you?
When I was asked just a few minutes ago about how I would vote today, that is how I feel, because I think when you've got 70% of your teachers that are at rock bottom, you've got to do something pretty drastic. I agree that that's fiscally responsible. Fiscal responsibility is very important, but I have not seen a lot of fiscal responsibility in a lot of areas regarding $444,000 of our dollars being spent to have a study done to find out, you know, that we need to fire all the librarians and the custodians and the school nurses. And so that bothers me too. And then $75,000 for a feasibility study to see if 2 middle schools are necessary. There must be a better way than that. But I think something drastic's got to change. He's been told over and over in writing, with the teacher survey, with the teachers going before county commission and also before the board, and nothing is changing. There's no changes in the observation. There's no changing in the evaluation. And I know that some things cannot be changed except at the state level.
Sure, Ms.
But those changes need to be made.
And Ms. Dorsey, your perspective?
Well, I certainly think that $1 million or $750,000 can be better spent on our students. I think the man needs to have his feet held to the fire. He's gotten good evaluations, and he's got an extension on his contract. So he's here. Let's make him do something. Let's as a board, let's come to consensus, and let's have him write into his own professional development plan, or his part of the strategic plan, what would we like for him to do.
But how do you enforce that?
How do you enforce it? Well, if you have, for example, we have kindergarten teachers who do not like this excessive testing. He could do something about that, because that's not state mandated, and he could change that. And I think a lot of our kindergarten teachers and our first grade teachers would feel a lot of that pressure, you know, that relief from that. He also could talk about what we're doing with this teacher advisory group. Why in the world would you not allow a person to speak openly and freely? You know, why is he quashing all of that? I just think that you can enforce it by putting the pressure by the board. That's what these 9 people do.
How would you enforce whatever changes you would want to see?
Well, the board is supposed to be the employer, and he's the employee. So I would think that that would be an easy thing for them to do. They just demand it. They demand that he's got to make some of these changes. And Ms. Dorsey mentioned the SAT 10 testing. We've actually been misled about that. Not only did the teachers think that was a state mandated thing, when the state people came here, they told us it was probably 80% of the districts that use that across the state, and it's actually 34%. It's 48 out of 140 systems use that. So I think we need to end that immediately. The teachers have told us repeatedly it's not developmentally appropriate. And you know, some of these changes are so simple to be made, like having a math teacher evaluate a math teacher. That's not rocket science. I mean, you know, and I don't understand why we've had such a digging your heels in and saying, I'm not going to make any changes.
Can you answer that question?
Oh, but we've gone around so many different things, tangents. I'm just sort of trying to figure out what
is it you're going to do? We're talking about what you want to do, but how are you going to do it?
The enforcement mechanism that you would use and the evaluation method you were going to use as a board member, Dr. McIntyre.
The evaluation, I mean, we're all big on rubrics. We could obviously make a rubric. Hey, this is where he is now, a baseline. This is what we're talking about with how we could, you know, evaluate our kindergartners as well. Here's your baseline. Here's a rubric. This is what we want to improve. We want him to improve, and we want you to have it at this level by then. And if not, then there's a problem. You know, but I think regarding test scores, I think all of the children, you know, K through 2, there are different ways we could evaluate them. We also have our RTI, response to intervention, so if they're below the 10th to 25th percentile, they can get those intervention programs. I think the SAT, the SAT 10 pressure comes from is that we want our children reading proficiently by 3rd grade, but there are ways that we can actually monitor that without having to do all that extra testing and give our kids instructional time.
Tracie Sanger,
yes.
Jamie Rowe, Charlotte Dorsey, we wish you all best of luck. We appreciate the conversation this morning.
All right, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We're back with our talk around right after this. See, this is an important vote for people in the 2nd District, and it's important for the district as a whole, Susan.
Well, I was really impressed with all 3 candidates. They clearly have relevant experience and are all 3 very passionate about this school board. So I think whoever wins it is probably going to be a really good member. And only one talked about that she would actually get rid of McIntyre if that were able to do without a huge buyout.
And Dennis, you know from being on the Election Commission about what it takes to win a school board election. How much turnout does each of these candidates need?
I think it's going to be driven by the fact that we're going to have 3 constitutional amendments. We're going to have the governor's race. While that might not be much of a contest, I think the Democrat will probably win that going away. But, you know, there's going to be more folks coming out to vote than normally would vote in a school board race.
Wait, did you say you thought a Democrat was going to win the governor's race?
You putting money up that Charlie Brown can't do this?
Yes, I will on that one. I don't bet normally, but that one I'll do. Go ahead.
I think they're all good candidates, and I think the points they raised were well-founded. It just, I don't understand long-term contracts at that level of money that have those kind of buyouts.
That does it for Inside Tennessee. Hope to see you next week.